blends the my Greek heritage, my Swedish education, and my Thai temperament during the last 20 years. The title of my talk is The Alpha CEO. Alpha, as you know, it is the first letter of the Greek alphabet, but it is also used to define the leader of the pack. Everything that everyone that is a leader is supposed to be an alpha person, an alpha male, an alpha female, the head of the wolf pack. They are also called alphas. So a leader is an alpha, and this alpha would shine through many of my slides later on. Being a CEO is being a leader, and we all understand that. But I would like to extend it a little bit more, because being a leader is not enough. Everybody can be a leader. You can be an authoritative leader. You can be a dictatorial leader. We can be a sensitive leader. You can be an understanding leader. You can be a friendly leader. But you have to be a person that understands the people you're leading. So this is the most important thing: understanding who you are working with and understanding who you're leading, and also understanding who you want to lead, because not everybody deserves to be led. Not everybody deserves to participate in your leadership. So you have to choose the right people. It is like walking on eggshells, balancing on eggshells, and everything is going to crumble. Everything is going to break down under your feet, because you want the best stuff and your company wants profits. So you have to balance between finding the best people for the job, but also maintaining profits for your company. So how do you balance that? So the first thing to understand is, why are you actually the CEO of the company? I mean, what have you done? Why have you been chosen to be the CEO of the company? For me, there are only two reasons to be a CEO of a company. Either you have created the company from scratch and you have a vision, and you have a very wide perspective of your company, or you know everything your company offers, the services your company has, you know them 100%, you know them better than anyone does. I don't say that you know how to sell your products or how to sell your services. I mean that you know exactly what your company's services and products are. If you don't belong in any of those two categories, I don't think you should be the CEO of a company. You can be many other things in the company. You can be a consultant, you can be a board member, you can be a high-level manager, but you cannot be a leader of that company if you do not deeply, genuinely care for the company or know the company. So those are two very important things for me in order to be a CEO. Once you have been a CEO of the company, you have to reach two very important realizations. The thing is that you have to understand, you have to realize you cannot do everything in the company. It's impossible. You're not God, and most probably there is no way God will also come down and help you. So you have to be able to delegate, and delegate means give responsibility to people to perform duties that you want to be performed. And that is a very important thing, because it involves a lot of trust and it involves choosing the right people. We'll talk about that in a moment. And the other thing as a CEO, which I see it less and less in Thailand and Asia, is that CEOs have not realized that this is the 21st century and that slavery has been abolished since about 2 centuries ago. So we are not running a slave ship, we're running a company, a team of people. More, you need to understand that being a CEO is not being a micromanager. You have to look at the bigger picture. Remember when I said that you have become the CEO of the company because you have a 360-degree perspective of that company. So you have to keep looking at this big picture and stop micromanaging. You don't need to know what kind of coffee they drink in the kitchen. You don't need to know how many children your driver has, or things that are totally unimportant in perceiving the bigger picture. And a very important thing that I've learned in Scandinavia, in Sweden, is that control is horizontal. Control is on a level that your perspective is. Remember, I said you have to have a 360 degrees perspective of your company on a horizontal level. Control is not from top down. Okay, there's a lot of people that cherish the top-down approach and hierarchical approach, but I'm not one of those people. I prefer the horizontal control. I have to be able to trust my people, to trust my team, to exert their own controls, but at the same time, I have to be able to look over them, and I still have to be able to go in and control when it is necessary to control. So the only true way of leadership is allow people to make their own decisions. So once you have achieved that, then you're actually a leader that deserves the name of being a leader. But in order to do that, you have to have quality control measures. Every organization must have their own measures. There are certain measures that are internationally accepted. There are certain quality accreditations that we need to consider, the ones that apply best for your company. Many of the ISOs are good. If you run a laboratory, you have to have the laboratory ISOs. You have to have a quality management team and quality management control measures in place. So in a very in a very determined time, you are the boss of someone, but in the next moment you might not be that. You are managing your staff. I like to think the team as a whole team. I like to think of them like I'm coaching them, I'm managing them, I'm teaching them, and continue. All right. So I like to think my manager, the coach of the team. I teach them. I need to remember, as I said, that slavery has been abolished. You don't own your staff. You don't own your team. Remember, as I said, that you're leading people, and you are not leading. You're not a permanent leader. If they leave you, you are the leader of no one. So again, You are the boss of your own head. You're the boss of yourself. You're not the boss of anyone else. You're managing a company together with the people that you have chosen. So actually, the real boss in the company is the staff of the company, because you have chosen them to do something that you cannot do, or something you don't have the time to do, or the education to do. Your staff can be the vehicle to your success, and the other way around, uh, you can be the vehicle to their success. So if you see this as a mutual win-win situation, then you can proceed forward. Together with your staff, you stand tall, and if you don't trust them, you will fall. Both of them will fall, and the harder fall would be the one that is higher up in that presumed hierarchy. The higher you are, the harder you fall. So again, your staff is your way. They have something you need. That might be education, that might be innovative intelligence, that might be that you lack, insights of market for your. You choose them because they have special skills and improve your business. You choose them to give you new ideas, new perspectives. This is why you don't choose them to be your friends. You don't choose them to be your family. You do not own their time. Those are very important things to understand. And a very important thing to understand is the staff are people. As I said, staff are not your slaves. This is not a slave ship. Slavery has been abolished. Staff are people, and people work for money. People have bills to pay, and they have families to feed. They have children to send to school. They have lives out of the company. They have lives outside the They have interest and so lives outside the company. They give you 8 hours in exchange for a salary. The other 16 hours, it's theirs. Okay? It is fun to be in a job that you like. It is fun to do things that you like. It is fun to feel appreciated. But again, still, people work for money. This is a very important thing to understand. And this is what Scandinavia has understood. They don't work for companies for you. They don't care about you. They care about how much free time they can have. So it is very important to understand all those things. It is fun to grow in a position, but you soon as and you need a new position with more money, you have to have it. And if you don't have it, it's not fun anymore. And this is a very time. Exploited, they become resentful. They will leave because again, people don't work for you. They work for money. All right. And if a company needs so much OT overtime and you still pay your people and they're happy with those payments, people get tired. People need to have their own free time. That means that your company is understaffed or the job description that you've given to your staff is not right. So something is wrong if a company needs a lot of overtime. Um, so why do people stay? People stay because they have a new position, they have a higher status, they have more free time, they maybe they work less in their new position, but they have more money for all that. That means they more money, they will not stay. Same position, same status, more work, less free time, not more money, they will leave. Okay. It is very important to understand people stay or leave because of money. That is the only reason. Do not fall for the pretty words that people stay for you, they like you, they like company. They don't do that. If people don't get enough money in their wallet to go and pay their bills, if people don't have enough free time after they leave the company, they take that as an approval of what you're doing. They just haven't found the right time or the right place to move on. They will eventually move on. Here it is also important to understand that this is a transaction, okay? It is a transaction between someone's time and what you want, what your company wants. You're not your friends. You can be friendly between each other, but they don't take it, want them to be your friends. If they are your friends and they really become your friends, then it's very difficult to fire them when the time comes, because they don't do the right job, because they are not the right person for the right job. And also on the other way around, if you have built a friendship between you and your staff, when they find better conditions, more free time, they will leave. It's very sad that they will leave you. So you have to understand that you hire them for their education and to perform skills that you cannot or want not to perform. So you need to be objective when you appraise their work in that quality measures we talked about. You have to be objective, and you can never be objective for a family member or for a friend, no matter how much people say that. And people get hurt if you're telling them a truth that they don't agree with and they are your friends. So it is a very, very dangerous and slippery slope in becoming too friendly or becoming real friends with your staff. What you need to provide, and that makes them feel very happy working in such an environment, is that CEO, you must provide a safe work environment. Now, safe can be many things here, and there are many things that we don't realize in the Asian culture, but in Scandinavian cultures, we know what safe means. Take as granted. You have to ensure freedom of speech. And when I say freedom of speech, is you have to really let people talk, let people express their opinion, say what they like, and let them do that without the fear of being axed, without the fear of being fired, without the fear of being in a company. There has to be trust in the work, the objectivity of your superiors. You have to trust the opinions of your inferiors, because everyone has an opinion in a company, and in a culture where there's freedom of speech, you will be hearing the opinions of other people for your work. The workplace has to be functional, it has to be fun. I mean, look what those big companies like Google and Facebook and Apple have been doing. I'm not saying that their culture is right. I'm just saying that their workplaces are functional and fun. I'm 100% certain that there is no culture of free speech in Google or in Apple, on those big companies, and the objectivity is also not certain. But certainly they have beautiful workplaces and fun workplaces. But your workplace should be functional and fun, but not a prison. You have to ensure gender equality in the workplace. A good thing that I see in Thailand is that many more females are coming out more and more in the workplace, are coming out to work. So that means that women are taking their real position back in the workplace. And you have to ensure that in a workplace that has been dominated by males, when women start coming in, gender equality can be an issue, especially there. You have to make sure that gender equality is there. And that applies to all genders. And gender, remember, gender now is not male and female. There are many, the people have different that start to coming in the workplace. You have to be sensitive with all those gender definitions, so that people feel safe in the workplace. Ensure that there's no harassment, no bullying. In my company, we have a zero tolerance for harassment and bullying. The moment we see it, we don't ask for explanations. The moment we see it, that person is axed, is out, definitely out. There's zero tolerance that is bullying somebody. There's zero tolerance that somebody is continuously joking and being microaggressive against for sexual harassment in our company. Those are things that you should, the HR should be talking to people in the company and should be making them to feel safe to report everything that they feel is a and another thing that we also very privileged position just because you have been in the company longer or you're older. That is no past century. People come into the company because they have skills, and skills are the only hierarchical decisive measure in an organization. Skills have give actually wings to experience. So if we have people that have the experience of having been with us for a long time, and we pair them with people that have skills, there you have a winning team. Rather than trying to have the experienced people force their decision-making processes on the people with skills. We try to combine those things so that we have a very strong engine in promoting whatever our company is doing. Now, a very important thing that many companies lack in Asia, and all companies have back in Scandinavia, is that you are taking care of your staff. You're taking care of your staff not as a friend, not with free meals and happy holidays and things like that. You are taking care of them because you pay their health and sickness benefits. You pay them maternity and paternity benefits. In Sweden, every family has the right to 480 days of leave once they have their first child, 660 days when they have 2 children. So, and those days must be divided, not equally, but to a certain degree, divided between the mother and the father. And if the father doesn't want to take it, they lose it. So it is a must for every new family with new children in the Scandinavian countries to have leave to raise their children. That is how you ensure that they're putting their families first, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that their families and their lives, your staff's families and staff's life, they come first. It's not the company, it's their families. Sorry. Ensure that your staff gets adequate holidays. Ensure that you invest and pay in their continued education. As I said, I hope that you don't hire staff to do one thing because of one skill for the remaining of their career. People have to grow in a position, and your company has to be able to move them through the organization so that they feel that they actually learning something, that they're growing in their different positions. People and staff must feel welcome. They must feel wanted. They must feel safe, trusted, eager, meaningful, and appreciated. And again, a good word and a pat on the shoulder are always welcome and appreciated. But those things don't pay bills, and they don't fill families, and they're not compensations for lost free time over many nights at work. That is again something that you need to understand. Team building, as I see it in Thailand, is happening. But team building many times in Thailand and also in other Asian countries, it means socializing. For us, team building has been it's more like brainstorming. It's more like defining a point and defining a new start. It's like appraising what has happened in the past year and how we're going to approach the future. It has to be done. We usually do it in company time. We usually take 1 or 2 days off work in 2 different teams so that our company can continue to function. And that is not the staff's holiday days, and it's not the staff's free time. It's a company time. As you may remember, you do not own your staff's remaining 16 hours per day, and your staff doesn't want team building for free meals or company vacations. If a company really cares about their staff, you give them a decent salary and you give them a decent amount of holiday days so they can go and do it by themselves and with their families and their friends, and not being forced to go on a holiday with a CEO or with their other company members. That is something that this is not a privilege. This is actually another way of slavery, that you have to force them to follow to the activities that the company has decided for them. Nobody wants to do that. So again, Alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet. So and the name for a leader. And what I think that the pillars of my understanding of what a CEO means is that a CEO has to listen. And once a CEO listens, a CEO learns things about himself, herself, and the staff. And then you go ahead to teach your staff. When you teach your staff, it is the time that you can start leading your staff. Because if you don't learn anything about them, if you don't know their skills, if you don't teach them what they need to do in the context of your organization, there is absolutely no way you can lead them. Alphas teach through learning before they can lead. And I like to move from the system that we see out here in Asia more and more, and there are systems that are really, it's difficult to get rid of, because people that are in their 60s and now, and the leaders of those companies, they have grown into dictatorial, autocratic, nepotistic, if you want, systems of leadership. I am more on the side of a more complex system. In a professional bureaucratic system, you define roles. It is true that people should have job descriptions, but those job descriptions are suggestions of what you should be doing, and how people should be building relationships between the team so that the team can be more functional. Which brings us to the loose coupling between team members. Rather than having tight structures, you do this and you cannot do anything else, and you cannot participate in what the other the other staff is doing. We try to complicate things in a way that are synergistic in how the organization works, rather than this tight structuring and simplifying. You stamp this page and you push this page next to the next person. And we like to diversify both relationships and how the company works, rather than being friends and socializing with each other. Before we make a decision, we try to understand what this decision, why this decision needs to be made, how this decision is going to be defined. You have to make sense of what you're deciding, not just take a decision because a decision needs to be taken. In a perfect world, everyone is learning. Everyone is learning at all times. There is a lifelong learning. I am in medicine, and the moment you stop learning, it's the moment that you cannot take care of patients anymore. Knowledge is something dynamic. Knowledge is something that increases time after time, day after day, and knowledge changes. Facts change, and if you don't learn those things, your knowledge becomes something that is outdated and like dinosaurs of the past. Rather than controlling people, as I said, in an organization like a top-down control, I am more of a horizontal controller where you improvise, where you let people take their own decision, but you can at any time, because you are hovering over them, you can see who wants your help, who needs your help, and you can intervene or choose not to intervene to see the capacities of your people. If you control them, you will never see which one of your staff are the ones to be chosen for the next levels. If you control them, you are damning them into a perpetual position, same position, time and time over. And at the end, you need to be thinking about the future of your company. You need to have a vision about how your company is going to develop in the future, rather than sitting and crunching numbers that this year I want this and this year I want that. You have to know what your market needs and apply this knowledge into how you want to mold your company, rather than using the same products and services unchanged year after year. This is a recipe for catastrophe. If you lean back to what I've talked about, is that we know that time after time and year after year, we see that the world's happiest countries, it's always all of the Scandinavian countries are in the top 10 position in very different levels. Finland is one that is actually consistently in the top, but Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, they just changed positions there. I stayed in the south of Sweden, which is very much bordering to Denmark. So South Sweden has been influenced by Denmark quite a lot, and Denmark has been influenced by Sweden as well. So why are those countries the happiest? Because there is a work-life balance. There is a way of making sense of your staff's priorities, and at the end of the day, your own priorities. If you don't do that, you're bound to fail, not because you're not good, but you will not find the right people to follow you in your in your self-destructive journey. So there is a life in the middle, and what are you, and we're all living our lives, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your family? It is possible. Many people don't have families. Many people get separated. They don't care about their children, or they care a lot about their children. So family is one thing that you have to understand, that is always going to be there. Even if you don't build a new family, you have a family. You have parents and you have siblings that you may want to or may not want to spend time with. Then you have your health. And there will come a point in the lives of everyone that health is going to be a concern. No matter whether you're looking after yourself and then that concern may come late, or if you're not looking after yourself and that concern may come early, but it is going to be a concern for everyone. And then you have your career, which heavily impacts on your family and your health, and definitely on your life. Then you have friends, people that are not your family, but you care for, and you have had long relationships with them, much longer than any relationship you have in your career or in the companies that you're working. And at the end, you have your personal time. You do not want to see people all the time. You do not want to be social all the time. You need to take some time off to be with yourself, to exercise, to meditate, to read books, to do many different things. So all those things have to be balanced in order to say that you are happy. Because if one is more prevalent than the other, happiness is not there. This is what the Scandinavian countries have understand. There are some inalienable everyone's rights for the Scandinavian countries. You have health and sickness benefits. You have mandatory paternal and maternal leaves. You have free kindergarten. You have free schooling at all levels. You have the right to, maybe you don't need to take it, but you have the right to an unbroken 4-week annual leave every year. It is your personal right. Many of the companies actually put it as a KPI, as a key performance indicator, that you actually take those 4 weeks as an unbroken leave in order to reach 100% in your KPI. All companies provide retirement benefits, and government and private sector, they share all the costs. As you see here, indeed, all those rights, they are looking into or taking care of your staff's needs. And this was the central thing when I started the talk, is that your staff are people, and you're leading people. You're not leading a pack of slaves, you're leading people. So people need to be happy in order to be led, because if they're not happy when they're led, they will leave you and they will go somewhere else. They will find a place where they will get the things that they need, because they have their own priorities. And those priorities, that probably they don't coincide with your priorities. One thing we need to understand as CEOs is that maybe we should also reappraise our own priorities to be more in line with our staff's priorities. And when we do that, then we have a winning team. If you as a CEO don't take a leave, if you as a CEO don't clear your mind, take a distance from the big picture, from your company, and come back refreshed, maybe this is why your company has problems. So it is time to do some introspective observations, and see whether the problems of a company actually stem from the leadership rather than the staff that is working with the company. So I leave you with those thoughts, and I thank you for your attendance, and thank you for your time. And it is not an easy subject. but the central and recurring theme is that any company, in order to progress, has to take care of their staff, give more and more the benefits and the needs that people have, because that's the only way to true retention. That has to be in a balance, of course, with the company make profits, because a company that make profits and has happy people in their staff as their staff, it's a company that will continue to progress in the future. So thank you, and I will be happy to take any questions you might have. I see something in the chat there. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much ครับ
We can take the questions in Thai, or if people want to ask their questions in Thai, that will be fine.
ผมมีใครมีคำถามอะไรไหมครับ